All remains as it did yesterday.
Are you ready to experience Miss Black Swan's dreamscape? Please close your eyes and rest your forehead on the dream number. Oh yes, many years ago, that elegant girl mentioned something before she left.
The nature of this memory is special. Don't ruin the dreamscape experience for anyone else by spoiling the ending. Rest assured, dear, I'll do all that I can to assist you.
I'm counting on you to wrap this up, Himiko.
In my estimation, there's no question about it. This is murder.
Murder. Such a foreign word to us. The people of Penacony could never come to any harm while under the watchful protection of the family. In a dream, even if you're bashed 1,000 times with a hammer, at worst you'll still wake up in reality in a hotel.
Not necessarily. Even if the result does not constitute harm, the criminal intent is clear enough. You specifically came here to cordon off the scene because of the unsavory nature of this case, right?
You're not wrong. Even if there are no casualties, being smashed over the head with a hammer in the middle of the street for no reason at all. This is not the kind of thing that happens on Penacony. You are guests of the Oak family, so you may investigate the crime scene. I'll be on standby over here.
Are you a witch? Just how did you manage to convince them in the blink of an eye that we're some kind of detectives?
Just some suggestions at the memory level. If something happens in everybody's memory, then that something becomes a fact. Rather than hearing endless explanations, would you like to experience it for yourself?
No, no, no! Hey, you can save that for the enemy.
Then on to the next order of business. Let's discuss your companion, shall we?
Memory Keeper of the Garden of Recollection. I've been watching you for quite some time. You stole a glance at me when you first entered the hotel. You followed me wherever I went inside the dreamscape. In the windows along the commercial street. In the pond water reflections of the Idean Park. Even in the reflections of the wine glass. Everywhere. My dear, do you have a crush on me? Well then, seeing as you're so interested in me, let's play a little game. I left a puzzle for you near OT Mall. Solve it? My dear, do you have a crush on me? And prove that you're capable of pleasing me. If you can solve it, then we can talk. Don't leave me waiting. It gets flipped upside down. Try to find me, catch me, and stop me.
There's actually more than one memo keeper who's come to Penacony. She's mixed me up with someone else. But no harm, no foul. The address that the mask gave you was right here. But you never would have thought that when Miss Sparkle mentioned a game, she was talking about wanton slaughter on the streets of Penacony. Such a direct act of provocation is enough to get my competitive side worked up too.
Madam, forgive me. I had no idea about anything she said. As you saw, I went through a brain scan and everything. I'm just a friend, helping her deliver a letter, that's all. I never knew this was actually a declaration of warfare. They say you shouldn't kill the messenger. So, maybe you can just, let me go. You all are the big shots here. I'm really not on your level.
What a frightened look you have. Don't worry. Since this has nothing to do with you, I won't be suspecting you of anything. Why don't you come take a stroll with me?
Oh, seems like I can't escape being an assistant detective. Oh, fine. It's all fine. No big deal.
If there's anything you'd like to know, please ask away.
Who was the victim?
An IPC employee named Shamari. Eyewitnesses reported that a tall, strong man wearing a large robe with long sleeves walked right past Shamari and suddenly assaulted him with a hammer. Shamari collapsed on the spot and woke up from the dream. The murderer vanished in a flash.
Ooh, that sounds just like Sparkle. Her best asset is transforming her appearance to look like someone else.
Who are those two little guys?
Seems like the assailants stole the troop from elsewhere and deliberately placed them here. What nerve. They don't even have the slightest consideration for public order. Those two have clammed up. I wonder if you two could help pry open their mouths.
Looks like a puzzle that Sparkle has left behind for you.
Who was the victim?
An IPC employee named Shamari collapsed on the spot and woke up from the dream.
Ooh, that's...
Who was the victim?
An IPC employee named Shamari. Eyewitnesses reported that a tall, strong man wearing a large robe with long... Shamari collapsed on the...
Ooh, that sounds just...
Any leads yet?
This is a developing case, so there aren't many clues yet. All we have to go by are the weapon used by the assailant and the victim's ID. They didn't even take the weapon with them. Sounds like they're trying to provoke us. Despicable.
Where's Mr. Shamari right now? I'd like to meet him.
I'm afraid you can't. The Oaks came forward and calmed him down. Mr. Shamari expressed that he understands the unpredictable nature of dreams, and went on to vacation in another dreamscape. Best not to bother him. Guest experiences always have to come first.
Oh, I'm afraid by the time we find him, half of Penacony will have been sent back to reality by Sparkle.
Looks like we'll have to play this little game of Sparkles then.
Lady Black Swan, you're here! I'm the constable, and this here assisting me is the bailiff for this case. Lady Black Swan, you're here! Mr. Coldfeet, why'd you do it?
So they can talk after all. Miss Black Swan, they're heading straight for you.
Don't interrupt, I wasn't talking to you. I understand Lady Black Swan has quite the intellect. I'm sure you'll be able to get to the bottom of the Sparkle murder case. Mr. Coldfeet, why'd you do it? To get to the bottom of the Sparkle murder case.
The Sparkle murder case? Wasn't the victim Shamari from the IPC?
You're wrong, Lady Black Swan. The victim is evidently none other than the matriarch of the Goldhammer family, Miss Sparkle Goldhammer.
Oh, I guess Miss Sparkle has written herself into the skit here, and this has nothing to do with the actual case. Goldhammer? Is that her real surname?
Never heard of it. Sounds made up. Sparkle doesn't sound like a real name either.
Miss Sparkle was supposed to receive 3 valiant warriors at the Goldhammer residence today, but upon their arrival, all they found was her body. Miss Sparkle had been smashed over the head by a hammer and died on the spot. Such a brutal act of violence. My investigations discovered that the 3 warriors were supposed to escort supplies back to their territory the day before, but they were unexpectedly ambushed by the Annihilation Gang. They narrowly escaped and barely got away with their lives, finding their supplies almost completely raided. So they all shared a motive for killing Miss Sparkle, to escape punishment.
So the 3 of them teamed up to kill her.
Is the case closed?
No, there can only be one murderer. It's not an unsolved mystery if there are 3 murderers. Hang on. Wait.
If you can't justify it, don't bother.
Got it! Those 3 were all vying against each other to be number 2. They couldn't have cooperated on anything. So it must have been one of them acting alone.
That actually doesn't make much sense. Even if they were on bad terms, those 3...
Please begin your investigation, Lady Black Swan. There are lots of clues at the crime scene that are sure to help you apprehend the real culprit. I've got the case file right here. If you want to learn more about the suspects, talk to me. Lady Black Swan, allow me to introduce the 3 suspects to you. Lefton, Zhongshan, and Bright. Lefton is one of Miss Sparkle's chief lieutenants, whose right hand was unfortunately severed while he was valiantly fighting off the Annihilation Gang. He's now learning how to write and hold a fork with his left hand. How tough that must be! Then there's Zhongshan. This guy's a coward who ran away as soon as a group spotted into the side of a cliff and getting his face disfigured. It's a real shame, as he used to be one of the rare handsome men left around town. Last of all comes Wright. This guy was so insatiably greedy that he still came back to try and embezzle the rest of the supplies after they narrowly escaped with their lives, lying about how the gang had taken off with everything. Lefton and Zhongshan were so incensed that they broke his legs.
Hang on. confused here? Left on? Right? Is this some kind of joke?
What? Where did you get that idea from? Do you need me to go over it all again?
That won't be necessary. I've memorized every detail.
No wonder you're a memo keeper.
Look! An ID card. Talent Motivation Department, Shamari. Is this the victims?
Mr. Shamari's belongings should have disappeared alongside him as he woke from the dreams.
Look! An ID card. Talent Motivation Department.
The fact that this ID is here means Miss Sparkle placed it here on purpose to prove that she definitely attacked someone.
Holy moly! This hammer is super heavy! This must be the murder weapon for the Sparkle murder case!
Miss Sparkle also used it to attack Mr. Shamari.
I'm barely able to lift this using both hands! I have no idea how Sparkle could ever use this to hit a target! Is that all the evidence? How are we meant to solve this with so little to go on? Oh, you scared me! When did you pop out?
The two pieces of evidence that you found are related to the attack on Shamari. Miss Sparkle didn't leave them lying around for no reason. They're clues to the puzzle. But there are still some other clues that were placed in other areas, so they won't spoil the crime scene.
Isn't that a bit unnecessary?
No. It's disruptive to have a stack of irrelevant things crowding a crime scene. Miss Sparkle is a law-abiding citizen who'd never bring extra trouble to the family.
Seems quite nice of her, if you ask me.
Looks like Miss Sparkle is adding a little spice to the investigation. Let's take her up on her offer then. Mr. Assistant Detective, this way. Yeah. What's this little device here for? Could you please let me know? It looks like a little button.
Don't push it, Lady Black Swan. Whatever you do, don't push it! That's the mutually assured destruction button that Miss Sparkle installed. Once pushed, Miss Sparkle and the entirety of Penacony will instantaneously go up in smoke. Miss Sparkle also has her own button. The second she pushes it, you and the entirety of Penacony will instantaneously go up in smoke.
That sounds like both buttons can do the exact same thing.
Correct. Exactly the same.
Oh,
Aren't you going to ask me why?
okay. Why?
Because she is fair.
This is nuts!
What's this? A plush toy?
Regardless of why it's designed to look like a conductor aboard the Astral Express, this doll, is it connected to the case?
Have you ever heard of something called a red herring in detective stories? It's a fake clue that leads you down the wrong path.
I see. But when it's so obvious, doesn't that defeat the purpose?
That's just in case you didn't realize the ingenuity of Miss Sparkle and were worried about her throwing out a random, useless clue.
I see. Thank you for your keen insight. Then, let's pretend we were misled by a red herring. This doll, could it be connected to the case?
You don't have to play along that hard, you know.
This notice seems like a hint for us from Miss Sparkle.
That sounded like a story from ancient times. And why did the facial recognition system suddenly go out?
This is so her style, isn't it? Doesn't look like there are any more clues. Let's head back to the crime scene.
Next, should we pin down the identity of the perpetrator? This evidence, I've been staring at it all day, but there's nothing that can identify the perp. Lefton, that guy lost his hand. Remember Zhongshan's face was disfigured after the incident at the cliff? Right? I remember this one best. Right has a broken leg.
Why don't we flip the question and start by asking who couldn't be the murderer? After all, there are only 3 suspects, so elimination could be a valid method.
If you put it like that, then do you already have someone in mind? Tell me, come on. So, who exactly is the murderer? I remember this one best. Right. So, who... I remember this one? Oh, is that so? I feel like the evidence doesn't really matter. Remember Zhongshan's face was disfigured?
Poor guy. He was seriously injured and was all wrapped up in bandages to keep his good looks safe. If that's the case, then he couldn't have made it through the Goldhammer Residence's facial recognition system. That would suggest that Zhongshan is not the murderer.
So, who... I remember this one? So, who Lefton...
Based on the bailiff's statement, Lefton's dominant hand was seriously injured to the point where he had to learn how to live using only his left hand. Swinging that giant sledgehammer to murder someone, that must be hard for him. Probably impossible. Lefton's suspicion level can be downgraded.
By process of elimination, it seems that only Wright could be the murderer. That was easy. Let's tell the constable our answer and see what he thinks.
Make a wish.
Please begin your investigation, Lady Black Swan.
The murderer is right.
I believe you have answered correctly. As expected, you didn't disappoint, Lady Black Swan. Game rules stipulate I must tell you where the next puzzle is.
Huh? The next puzzle? I didn't sign up for this.
Looks like the key to winning lies not in the puzzle itself, but in the motives behind Miss Sparkle's strange behavior. I'm afraid this chase may just go on forever.
I have to remind you that Sparkle is a masked fool? Do you plan on finding logic in the mind of a masked fool?
That's exactly what I plan on doing. Even if it's just subjective, there must be an overall principle behind the behavior. Memories cannot lie, and hers may just understand more about her than she does herself. Right now, let's follow her train of thought and head to the next puzzle. I hope this time we can get ahead of the Bloodhound family. I want to try and avoid using my Memo Keeper powers.
So why are you so focused on Sparkle's challenge? Or should I ask, are you more focused on Sparkle herself?
Yeah. I told you, it's purely out of a spirit of competitiveness. And as a Memo Keeper, I also have to fulfill my responsibilities and harvest some interesting memories.
Whoa, this place is a complete mess. And those two weirdos are probably here too.
There's nobody else at the scene. Seems like Miss Sparkle used the same method to send dreamers back to reality. Let's talk to those two there, then.
Oh, Detective Black Swan and Detective Sampo! You finally made it!
We don't know what we'd do without your help.
Why are you talking like that? Is this some sort of artistic performance that young people are into these days?
Is there something wrong with the way we are talking? Deputy Sheriff.
We don't know what we'd do.
Am I talking in a strange way?
Oh, of course not, Sheriff. The way you talk is no stranger than the cat that climbs the apple tree in my grandma's backyard.
Huh. Skit this time is a modernist one.
Let's discuss this difficult case then. The victim is a galactic business magnate named Sparkle.
Her again? Sparkle really is obsessed with scripting her own death.
Oh, for the laughter. If you undercut me one more time, I swear I'm gonna kick you in the butt. Miss Sparkle came to the fashion store to buy herself a brand new tie. She didn't come back out. After a long time, the shopkeeper went in to see what was going on, but instead discovered Miss Sparkle's body. She had been strangled to death. There were 3 suspects on the scene, namely a Pepeshi shopkeeper named Rhett, a Foxian gambler named Zhongshan, and a wealthy Intellitron trader called Lefton.
Our old friends.
It's not just to aid your memory. We've added more descriptions to help tell them apart.
Miss Sparkle is so gracious.
Based on surveillance footage, witness testimony, and various pieces of evidence, the killer is ultimately among these 3, and They were not working in cahoots.
You're too lazy to be a suspect, right?
Oh, for the laughter! If I talk anymore with you, it'll make my pure soul filthy! Detective Black Swan, the dossier's over here. You can learn more about the suspects from me. I trust you'll be able to cut through the hogwash and find out who Miss Sparkle's killer